Hey guys, you're joining us, me and Jessica Bartlett.
Hello.
And you're joining us on The Connection. This is my podcast, and it's all about love and connecting and just going with just the inspiration of what we're about to talk about. And we hope you enjoy this podcast as we open it up with a little Bible verse. It's 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. And we're just going to reflect on that for a little bit and just talk about like things that are going on in daily life and how we, just connect with the Lord and how he just breathes so much life and love into us and courage and inspiration and how he leads us through today and every day. And that, we're living in a really, really tough time right now. And, our society is tough. It's
uncertain.
It's definitely uncertain. Yeah. So welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. I'm so
Hopefully
excited.
this doesn't get confusing, Jess and Jess.
No. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. That is so fun. Well, it's definitely an honor to have Jess here as our first guest, our first special guest on my podcast. She is amazing. And she is a small business owner herself. And she's creative and she's full of inspiration and super proud of her and how she's grown in her career. And
thank you.
And yeah, I think you're amazing.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've known each other for a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that from the very start of my business. I remember walking in with a random 4-pack of cupcakes, wanting to talk to the owner of the building where you had your little shop. And yeah, you and I just hit it off instantly. So yeah, from that to opening up my store, to opening up another store, to having, a few more places on the boardwalk in Ocean City and our mall store in the Ocean County Mall.
I remember.
Right?
I remember.
Yeah, and those things close. Sometimes you try things and they don't work, but you don't know until you try, and you just keep throwing stuff at the wall, and just seeing what works and what sticks. And when something sticks, you grow it, and you put your energy into that direction. And so from all of that to where we are now, closing our retail store, opening up an online business and shipping our products. So yeah, it's been about 12 years and you've seen us through all of those changes and the metamorphosis. So
a whole journey. It's like a journey.
Yeah.
Like it really is. It's an amazing journey, and we have to, I don't know, we got to breathe life into every step. Sometimes it's super hard, Yeah.
And it's hard when, like I was saying before, when you try something and it doesn't work. I think it's really easy to get stuck in that disappointment, to get stuck in seeing yourself as a failure. And, it's really important to be able to compartmentalize, like that moment of, hey, I took a risk, it didn't work out. And to move on and to not allow it to creep into your heart, and whisper
That's
those
tough.
lies. Yeah, of failure.
Very tough.
And I was in that place for a little while. When we started our mall store, it went really well in the very beginning, and then it went really bad really fast. And I remember just feeling like a failure because it didn't work out. And so much so that my soul wanted relief. I just wanted relief. I wanted out. I wanted to sell my business. I wanted to run away from it. I wanted out. And I think, again, that's why it's important to not get stuck in that failure, you know? I remember actually it was the owner of the building that we were in, our landlord, had said to me, she said, well, you tried it. And that was it. So what? You pick yourself up and you try again. And it's so
true.
It is. And I thought, you're right. That's it. I tried it.
Yeah.
You know, and I would rather fail knowing that I tried something than to not have tried and to allow that fear to paralyze me, you know?
Well, I do feel like that the Lord brings people into our lives and throws different experiences at us so that way we can grow. We just build. We build on that. And I think that, you know, having faith. So it really goes back to this whole piece of scripture here, you know, for we walk by faith and not by sight, because I feel like if we look at all those things that have happened and the negatives and all the negatives all the time, we're just never going to see, you know, what faith has to offer us.
Yeah.
And faith truly offers us amazing things. And even in the most deepest, darkest moments of our lives, which we all just went through. I feel like we just went through with COVID.
Sure.
And it was truly like a moment of uncertainty on like what's going to happen, and just feeling like really scared.
Yeah.
But yet trying not, you know, to go to a place of fear.
Yeah.
I feel like fear has taken over the world.
Yeah.
And it's pretty scary.
Yeah. And you know what? A principle that I've learned along the way is faith isn't actually the absence of fear.
Right.
It's the absence of excuses.
Right.
Because if we truly believe, like in Jeremiah 29:11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Like that's a promise that he speaks over us. He says, "Hey, I've got plans to prosper you. I have plans to give you a hope and to give you a future." Like that's what he has for us, right? And so
absolutely.
You know, I think it's important, you know, if that's what we believe and if that's what we live out of, you know, we can't fail when we trust him, you know, but It's a choice, you know, it's a choice to give into that fear, you know, and ultimately to allow the fear to paralyze us,
right?
Or to just keep going even in the midst of the fear. And when you keep going and you keep going, the fear actually diminishes.
It does.
And it gets quieter and quieter and quieter. So faith isn't the absence of fear.
No,
it's the absence of excuse. Like, I'm going to do this anyway. Do it afraid. That's what faith is, doing it afraid. You know?
Yes. I believe it. I believe it. And I do believe that, you know, through all of it, and if, like you said, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Don't look back. Just keep going. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward, having faith that the Lord's just going to lead us into the most beautiful opportunities and the most beautiful places, because we're not supposed to really see what's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. You know? And that's the thing. We always think that we're going to have this plan for tomorrow, and then it's just sometimes we get stuck and we're like, well, this just didn't happen. And then that's where it builds that, like, you get anxiety.
Sure.
You're like, I can't do this. I can't go on. Like, you know, this wasn't supposed to happen. You feel like you're stuck in a rut. And it's just trusting that, you know what? I'm going to be okay with whatever tomorrow brings.
Yeah. And then trusting that along the way, this goes back to what you were saying before, that God brings us not only the people that we need, but he gives us opportunity. He brings provision in supernatural ways. And usually most of the time it's ways we never expected, you know, and he gives us, and I always like to say, like, I'm not a business person. Yes, I own a business for 12 years, but I'm not a business person. And I have two things on that subject. The first thing is I am a business person because God created me with an entrepreneur spirit, and I understand that now. But I'm more creative than I am numbers. I am, you know, that's just how I am. But when I yield that over and I give my weaknesses over, God gives me something in return. You know, he gives me people. He gives me business owners that, you know, are further along in their business than I am. He gives me people, you know, accountants that come in and give me ideas. He gives me marketing people that will walk into my store. You know, like that's provision. Like, provision isn't just monetary. Provision is knowledge. It's opportunity. It's exposure. You know, it's friendships. It's relationships. That's provision. You know, and so when we trust him, that's what we get in return.
And and like going with what you just said, like, I believe with people coming, you know, in our lives at certain times in our lives. Everybody has a gift. And like I can't stress this enough because I see it in people. Maybe people I might have met for 5 minutes, or someone I might have met for, you know, I knew for 5 days, or, you know, everybody truly has a gift to offer. And I feel like, you know, it's seeing that, like you said, and like it's seeing that and knowing that, you know, there's something good to take from every experience, everybody you meet. And
it's good.
Sometimes we get stuck and we don't see that. And I think it's important sometimes to like, it's kind of a comfort thing. I feel like we get in a comfort of just seeing things only one way and not really, you know, seeing things in other perspectives or way. Somebody might be trying to tell us something and we're just so structured into believing that, no, it's this way. But maybe their way of doing something is teaching us.
Yeah.
And it's a part of growing.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we stay stagnant because we don't let other people in.
Yeah, I think that's pride and that's humility.
Yeah.
You know, and
I feel like we're touching on a lot of stuff here.
A lot of real stuff.
I know, it's true.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not ashamed to admit that I definitely I've had pride in my heart, and I've been humbled, you know, where I've had employees that work for me that are much younger than me. And I was at a place where my pride was definitely ruling my conversations and my thoughts. And I was too prideful to accept advice and accept direction from someone who was much younger than me and that I employed and I paid, you know, like, no, it's this way, it's my way.
Right.
And when God showed me that, and he just really shined the light of pride in my heart, and I yielded and said, all right, Lord, I give you this pride. What do you have for me in return? And it was really realizing that everything that I needed was there all along. Like, it was the people that he had already given me as my employees that had these ideas. Okay, you want to try this recipe? Let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
It wasn't my idea, but let's go with yours. And it's crazy. Their idea would always be better than mine. It would sell out. Mine would still be left on the shelves by the end of the day. But their idea was the one that sold out.
Because the Lord's showing you. That's where you asked him, and he's showing you.
Yeah.
And
I think it takes the pressure off of us. You know, when we feel like we're the ones that have to keep this business going, when we're the ones that we have to have every idea, like, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is. We need to be inspired, even as business owners. We need to be inspired by others.
Yes.
And and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that right now, you know, with someone I just hired, and she's a beautiful person. I'll share a little experience. I'm going to get a little emotional. I'll share an experience that happened to me. And it just happened so naturally. I don't know if I was really ready to take on an employee, or, you know, I like to say a team member. I like to call it a team member because it's part of my team. And I don't know if I was ready, but I went with what God was pulling me to. And through the experience, I was like, wow, like, I have to decide. I had several people reach out to me for the job. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I would love to have hired all of them. You know, it's like one of those experiences. You're like, I just want to hire everyone, but I know that I can't. And so instead of like, I had this anxiousness, I had this anxiety about hiring someone because I'm like, am I going to pick the right person? Are they going to be right fit for my business? Are they going to be a good fit for me?
Sure.
Because when you have a business, you want it to work. It's got to work. Yeah. You got to work together.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's scary. It's a very scary feeling. And, you know, I asked God, I prayed, and I just said, God, I know that you're leading me through my business, and I know that you're leading me through all of these different experiences, and I'm just trusting in you. And I just don't know what to do right now. And and he answered, and I get chills talking about it because it could be nobody else but him that led me into hiring the person I hired, because I had to down to 2. And then I was like, stressful. It was stressful. And I'm like, okay, I will decide on Thursday. Well, I never checked any of my messages. And Tuesday, I was kind of making the decision by that time. But by Tuesday, the other person had emailed me or messaged me. I forget which one. And she just said that she found another position. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. And I saw this on Thursday. So that was Tuesday. And now we're going into Thursday. And now I'm like still anxious. Never seen the message. And I didn't have to be so anxious that whole entire time because God made that decision for me. And it was really the best decision. And, he said, this is it. I'm making it real easy for you. And it wasn't easy though.
Sure.
So it was definitely an interesting experience, but it was like, there he was, just making that a little bit easier for me, but not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And it's having faith. It's just having faith that whatever was going to be, it was going to be his decision and not my own.
Yeah.
And it would be good for me and I'd have to trust that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And to not look back, I've learned that too, where when a decision's made, it's important to go with it and to stay resolute in it and to look forward, and to not look back, because I think looking back is what trips us up. What if, oh, no, look straight ahead, keep your eyes forward, just look straight ahead and keep moving forward.
And just keep moving. Exactly. Exactly. And like, I think that like what I would love to see, like, especially in these times that we're in right now, is that people look more to him.
Yeah.
And trust in the different opportunities that arise. Sometimes things don't work out for a reason.
Yeah.
And so like, as I've grown, I've learned, even just being a business owner, I've learned, there are some decisions that we have to make that are really tough.
Yeah.
And scary. But when you feel it in your heart, and you know that God is pulling you in a certain direction, you just have to go there, because as hard as it is, it's like,
so true.
And I'm like, okay, sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm going, I'm going. And when you know when something is right, like there's, when something is right, and when something is wrong. And sometimes we make decisions based on, other things.
Yeah.
That maybe aren't really the right things for us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it's challenging.
Yeah.
And it's scary to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to go in this direction. I had an experience like that too, where I just had to make a decision and say, no, what I'm seeing is wrong, and I'm just not going to do that. And it was just like the toughest thing I've ever had to do. But, I did it. And I look back now and I'm like, I'm exactly where God planned for me to be.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. I have a similar story. Up until last year, March, April of 21, we had a retail cupcake shop, a storefront. We operated in that capacity since 2009, and we did really well. We got to appear on Food Network and Cupcake Wars, and we got to cater Super Bowl. When it came to New Jersey, we just had a lot of great experience. And even during COVID, we pivoted quickly. We adjusted how we did business, and one of the ways that we did that was shipping out our gluten-free and vegan products, to our customers that weren't coming down to the shore for the weekend. So, we thrived during COVID. We had our best year yet. And then 21 comes, where the end of 20 and then the beginning of 2021, where my lease was coming up for renewal. And it was becoming more and more clear to me that location for us in particular was holding us back. that, you know, it was only a certain size and there was no room to grow. And, you know, and I really just felt like my business was taking a different direction. And, you know, cupcake bakeries aren't what they were back in the day. You know, back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, they were very, you know, they're thriving and everybody tried it, you know. And actually in our little town, there were 2 others that came in and came out in the time that we were still there. Yeah. And, you know, and God in his graciousness sustained us. But I really just felt like it was changing a lot and we were meant to change with it. And I think that sometimes as business owners, that's where we get tripped up, you know, if we're not willing to pivot, if we're not willing to adjust our business, then it dies. Right. You know, and I really just felt like God saying to me, Jess, it's time to close up this cupcake shop and do this thing instead. And it's really hard to do that when you've just had your best year yet. We had our best year yet of 2020. Our best year. We thrived during COVID.
I feel like me as well. I feel like a lot of people did.
Yeah, and so...
Well, small businesses, I believe, really, really did a great
community rallies behind you. I mean, we did crazy things. I had never in my life thought that I would be dropping off cupcakes in, you know, in gloves and a mask to people's houses or making cupcake kits for graduation.
That's
like,
awesome.
Never thought, but you adjust and you pivot and you say yes and you do what you got to do, you know? And yeah, it was, I got to tell you, like, you know, when I went to my, you know, family members and friends, you know, say, yep, this is what we're doing. God said, close the cupcake shop and, you know, we're going online and we're just going to go online. They were like, what are you doing? That's stupid. That's crazy. Like, why would you do that? You know? But I knew, like you were saying, when God speaks a word and deposits it into your heart, you just know.
Yeah, you know.
You
just know.
And I actually had a family member say to me, you guys, you know, speaking of my husband and I, you guys are in the age where you should be digging your feet in and getting settled in for, like, you know, retirement and growing older. I'm like, crying out loud, I'm in my early 40s. Like, I'm not, you know, 80.
No, we're like, you know, you're 30. Are you kidding me?
I'm like, no, you know, like, I'm in a season of being risky, you know? Yes. And so...
I think that is so awesome. That's so important. You have, like, taking a risk.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And when you take a risk and the risk sounds so crazy, there's going to be the naysayers. My accountant, the same one, keep in mind, who said to me at the very beginning when we told her I was opening a cupcake bakery, said, you're never going to be able to sell enough cupcakes. It's not going to work. The same accountant, you know, said, you know, you're crazy. Why are you giving up wedding cakes? Why are you giving up cupcakes? You're crazy. You know, and when you just know that, you know, there are going to be people that don't understand. Yes. And that's okay. It's okay. But I think what's not okay is to be easily swayed by those voices, by their voices.
This is a great topic.
Yeah, because what happens is when you listen to that, then the doubt comes in, and doubt is a thief. Doubt will come in and steal your peace. Doubt will come in and steal your joy. Yep. Doubt comes in and steals your future. It can steal all those plans that he has for you, and then it deposits fear. First, it masks itself. Fear masks itself as doubt. It's always about fear. Always. I know. And so, you know, perfect love casts out all fear, right? That's what the Bible says. Perfect love casts out fear. And, you know, we know that God's love for us is perfect. His plans for us is perfect. And if we stay anchored to that truth, that's what helps us not listen to the voice of the naysayers, you know, not listen to the, you know, the doubt and the fear and, you know, to just stay on that path that he has for us, you know.
I know. So. And it's like saying no. Yeah. You know, sometimes we have to say no. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. I'm going to do what is in my heart. I'm going to do what God deposits in my heart. Yeah. I'm going to just go for it. Yeah. Like homeschooling. You know, when it came about that I had to make that decision to homeschool, I mean, I heard so many people saying, how are you going to do that? You're not going to be able to do it. Do you realize what's going to happen? And, you know, at the time I was in the process of closing my business, had no idea that God had it in his plans for me to open my business again, like a month later, go on this next journey. And I'm like, and then when that happened, and then I already decided to homeschool, and then I hear, well, how are you going to open a business? How are you going to do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to do it because this is where God's pulling me. I'm going, and I'm going to go, and I'm just doing it. I'll do it all. I'll figure it out. I just believed so much, and I still believe so much that God he just is in so much control. Like, it's like taking the keys and saying, here you go.
Yeah.
Just, I trust and I give it all to you.
Yeah.
And I did that back in 2016 with my oldest son. I had to say, here's the keys of the emotion, the stress, the anxiety, the anger, the hatred, the everything that I was feeling, going through so many things with that situation. I had to say, here are the keys. Just take it. And I did. And then it was like, my whole life changed then. And my whole life has changed even now. And what I know now from what I knew then, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it just makes you just trust even more.
Sure.
You know, that he has the plan. It makes you just trust and go on that journey with him.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing thing. And when I'm crying, I know he's there. When I'm, you know, when I'm feeling like just, you know, like I'm failing at whatever, it could be anything. It could be as being a parent. Sometimes I feel like, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be a good mom, and I just want to
Yeah.
make good choices for my kids and for my business and my family and my friends. And it's like all these different emotions. And I'm just like, I got to give it to him, because no matter where I turn, you know, it always works out. Like, it always is so beautiful, even through those dark times. Like, if we don't go through those dark times, you know, I think it really does help us. It strengthens us to be better, and not to be better just for ourselves, but to be better for the world around us.
Yeah.
And I think, and like you were saying, it's really hard because there's a lot of people that just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand. They will mock you. They will, you know, talk down upon you. They won't support you just because the jealousy comes in, and there's a lot of hatred, especially in the world today. It's, you know, and being a small business, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because I just want to love.
Yeah.
I just want to love. I just want to, you know, I just want to give love back to my community and and the society and people and my family and my friends and people I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, but some people just don't want that.
Or they don't have it to give.
Yeah.
You know, like, a lot of times
Right.
we give advice from our own experience. And
Right.
if somebody, you know, is negative about what I'm trying to do, I can almost trace it back, their negativity, to a failed experience in their own
Right.
life, you know?
Right.
And so we tend to give advice out of our experience. So if they've experienced disappointment, they've, you know, experienced failure, you know, then that place is where they give advice from.
And they hold on
and
to
that's
it.
where
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
where their words are rooted, you know. And I actually had a very dear friend of mine say to me that how important it was to limit your time, like, on social media, and you know, and to set up boundaries, you know, and it's safeguarding yourself, you know, when you're on that phone with a negative person, you know, like, I'm going to give them 5 minutes, and then if the conversation doesn't change, I'm going to end it. You know,
Right.
this isn't good for my soul. It's not good for my
Right.
spirit.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying cut people out of your lives that are negative.
Right.
But setting those boundaries, you know, and social media for me was definitely a joy thief. You know, I would go on social media and I would just see the negativity and the fear. Like, fear is so present, and the hate. There's a lot of hate, a lot of fear. And I really, as a small business owner, you know, it's our lifeline of marketing. It's how we market our
get
business.
on now and I get off. Like, I market and then off.
Yeah. Well, you know,
a little bit.
But
You
even
try.
that, you have to interact with your customers, and you have to
Yes.
go. For us, I go on, you know, other Facebook groups, other, you know, celiac and vegan Facebook groups, and we comment, and that actually helps to boost our algorithms and put us out there. So,
Right, true.
you know, so I do have to be on there, but yeah, And while you're on there, you see a lot of hate, a lot of negativity. So I set a timeline for myself, a time limit, you know,
That's
like
good.
I give it 20 minutes, I give it 30 minutes, and I'm off, you know, and
I feel
really
like a lot
helped.
more people maybe are doing that now. I don't know. I just, you know, I go on, I do post a lot of pictures of my kids and little things, but it's just, it's important for business. Yeah. It's very important, and to connect with other people. It's all about connection. It really is. And it's how can I say this? It's like, you know, you're going to come in to those different types of people that are engaging. I've had many experiences so far just with just opening the new store, and I have to kind of like just say, okay, I'm not going to get into this conversation, or I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to engage in this, or, you know, not let it like overwhelm me, because I'm a thinker. So I think a lot, you know, and I'm always thinking, and I used to for so long worry about what other people thought about me. And I had to, I thank God, because he pulled me away from that. Now I just, it doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah. That's a huge thing.
It is huge. Yeah, I always say in my 20s, I spent a lot of time figuring out who I was. In my 30s, I spent those 10 years running away from who I was. And now when I'm in my 40s, I'm accepting who I am.
I know.
You know, and like, yeah, like who God truly made me to be, you know, and also what I'm not. And that's okay. I am a 5'3" woman. I will never be 6 foot tall, and that's okay. I'm fun size, and that's all right. You know, but, you know, and for women especially, I think we fall into that trap of comparison.
Yes.
You know, we compare ourselves, you know, not just our physical appearance. We compare our kids to someone else's kids, our husband's job to someone else's husband's job, what we drive to someone else, what someone else drives, the size of our house to our neighbor's house. Like, comparison is a death sentence.
Oh my gosh.
It's also a thief. It also steals our joy.
Agree.
You know, robs us. So, you know, that was something I really had to learn. And to be perfectly honest, I really didn't learn that until the last years, you know, the last few years, I should say. And it was important. It's a really important lesson to learn. And my prayer is that women would learn that earlier.
Yes.
Because I think the earlier we learn that, the more joy we're going to have in our life.
I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. It really, like, I have to agree, because I now am at a place where I don't know, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I'm happy, and I just want to see other people happy, and like, you know, you get to that point where you're just like, just breathe. You know, you're just like, it's okay. Just breathe, you know, and just keep going on and be that light for other people who are, you know, who maybe aren't in that position. Yeah. You know, I think that, I think it's just, it's all part of growing. Yeah. You know, growing. And like I didn't really even know God until 2016. I knew of him, and I didn't, you know, have him like in my life, you know? And so like, I look back when I was younger, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I went through so many different ups and downs, and, you know, so many things that I could see why people maybe judged me, you know, but it's like, I just needed to grow. I need to grow in faith. Yeah. You know, I really needed to grow in faith. Yeah. And it put me in a different position in my life. And, I think that age definitely, we age like fine wine, they say. Yeah. And just to be, I feel like it's so important to be able to connect with other people and just breathe that light on them and that love on them. And, you know. Yeah, the lessons that we've learned. And I have, you know, 20-year-olds that work for me, you know, in their late 20s and early 30s. And, you know, it's a rough time. It's a rough time to be that age. You know, it's a rough world to live in to be that age. You know, we live in this world of, you know, when you and I grow up, we just had our high school to compare ourselves to, the other girls in the high school. Now these women
have social media compare
Social
themselves.
media, I know.
And, you know, when you compare yourself to somebody on Instagram, all you're seeing is their best sides. You know, you're seeing the fun that they have. You don't see the nights they cry themselves to sleep, or, you know, the times they change 100 outfits because they just feel ugly and everything. You don't see that. You only see the filtered angles that they want you to see. And so if that's what we're comparing ourselves to, we're always going to fall short. You know, so giving that lesson to these 20 and 30-year-olds and just say, hey, like, be confident and comfortable with who you are. You know, who God made you to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it goes with, like, judgment. Like, and this is a big, like, one, like, judgment. Like, that was one of my things creating the podcast was I just wanted to create a place where people can come and listen and get inspired and not feel like they're judged. Like, you know, we're, like you said, on social media, and we see all these people who are living in these big homes, or they're, you know, got all this, they're driving certain cars, or, you know, and, you know, we tend to not know, like, their story. Like, we all have a story. We all have, you know, something that we can share. Like I was saying, we all have gifts. God gives us these gifts, and we all have something. And I believe that we pass judgment on a lot of people because, you know, social media, again, is a huge thing. It's a huge I try to limit my kids on social media because I even start seeing my 8-year-old like doing certain things, or like just judging herself.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, you are who you are, and you're beautiful. And, you know, because there's so much out there, like TikTok and you know, Facebook and you know, all that, and these kids are really exposed to the TikTok is a huge one. And, you know, but I think, you know, the whole judgment part is that like you think you know someone, but you really don't know them until you really get to know them. And like you said, they're showing all their good sides, but everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Pain. And I feel it's important. We have to, I feel like as a society, we don't share enough of that.
Yeah.
Which creates compassion and empathy and all those different things.
Well, I think because when we share, we actually open ourselves up to that judgment. And who wants to be judged? You know, when we share and we're transparent, you know, then we open ourselves up to other people's opinions. And I think that that's why it's important to be confident in who God created us to be. Right. You know, like I have a story of deep pain and deep hurt that God has delivered me out of. And maybe that's a topic for another podcast.
No.
But, you know, I used to be very ashamed of that story. And now it's actually the source of my greatest healing. And it created who I am now. And now it's a place where I'm proud of, you know, where God brought me from.
Yeah. It's strength. Like, you know, you have such a strength.
Yeah.
And it's taught you, and many women, many men. I mean, it's taught us, you know, from going from that place to a different place in faith.
Yeah.
And like we were just saying, what's that scripture say? It says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Because visually, what are we seeing on social media? We're visually seeing that. And I feel like faith, how can we say faith is something you see? I guess you see it in people, but that's where judgment comes. Because if we have faith, like I have faith to be able to open up.
Yeah. To
the world.
That's courage too.
And courage.
Yeah, that takes courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have faith to know that it's going to be okay. That and courage, and that not to have a fear of what others are thinking of me, and to know that I'm going to be judged. I know I will always be judged.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. And in my 20s, that used to bother me. Now it doesn't. You know, like you were saying, you know, now you're okay with it. You know, it's all right.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, I have learned actually fairly recently in the last month was, you know, of course, as women, we're always on this journey to lose weight, right?
Yes.
And I have this picture You know, we all do. We have this picture of ourselves that we want to get back to this weight. We want to, we want to wear this dress again. And,
oh my God.
Right? Like we do. Come on. Like, let's be real. We all do. If you're saying you don't, you're a liar. So, what I realized though, Jess, is I was comparing myself to myself. I was comparing my 43-year-old self to my 22-year-old self.
Oh my gosh. You're
that
so good.
Picture that I was using as my benchmark to get back to was my early 20s self.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a size 4 ever
I'm
again.
not. I've had babies. This body has seen some things, and so, I think even in that it's important, to not, compare ourselves to our younger selves, to be okay with who we are, the maturity and the wisdom that came with those 20 years that I just walked through, the hell and the heights, all of that I've walked through has made me who I am. So I've made it a practice to, I have to find a different picture, or maybe it's just a mental picture, to keep me focused.
Yes.
But, and even I had this little dress that I wanted to fit back into, and I realized the dress I wore on my 30th birthday.
Oh.
To my 30th birthday party.
And you're
13
I'm
years
this.
ago.
I'm getting this. It's when I'm 50, I'm wearing this.
I don't know where I'm going to wear this Betsy Johnson dress to, but dang it, I'm going to wear it. No, it's okay if I don't get back there. It's all right, because my body shifted and it changed, and it's telling a story of all that I've been through. Yeah. And that's okay. Okay. So, So I think that's a big takeaway from today for women. Don't compare yourselves to your younger self. Be happy in who you are.
Yeah.
How many people get line serum and, thing to try to reverse aging. I'm not saying don't go for a facial and take care of your skin, but I'm saying accept who you are. It's okay.
I know. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. I feel like we need to be comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah.
And definitely, I feel like an energy, when, you can tell when somebody's really comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah.
You can feel it. And it's not some people will look at it in a different way, and then some people will say, no, they're just they're holding their own. They have a story. They are just, they are working their story. And I mean, we all have a story to share.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe that we should be sharing our stories more for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I do believe that, because I feel like it could help somebody. It could help somebody that needs to hear something, or to let people know that they're not alone. It's okay to, it's okay to be in this vulnerable place, or, a situation that maybe is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And to know, I feel like more, just being connected with people in general, I love talking to people. I love it. I'm a people person. Obviously I'm doing this and I'm I don't know if I can do this, but I can do it. Yeah. Just connecting with people and just letting people know, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I understand you. I totally get it.
Yeah. We're coming off of 2 years of being isolated.
Yeah.
Purposely, intentionally disconnecting from people. Right?
I
hated not being able to see people's faces.
Me too.
That killed me, and so.
Smile. I just want to see people smile.
It's almost like we're having to reteach ourselves how to connect with people again, how to make eye contact. You're not going to get COVID by looking in my eyes.
Right.
You know?
Right. And your eyes smile. I felt like we almost had to learn that you could see the smile in people's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just please, no, I just want to see let me see your smile. Just let me see your lips. Let me, wearing lipstick. That was a huge thing. I was like, why am I even going to bother putting lipstick on? Nobody's going to see my lipstick.
Saved a lot of money on lipstick those 2 years.
Of course I would put it on just for my own comfort, because I wanted to wear it, but still it was just the connection we needed to have with people.
Yeah, we lost it. Yeah. And it's about being more intentional, to rebuild that again.
Yeah. And I think I think slowly more and more people are coming around to, past this curve that we just went on. And I'm hoping that we continue on a better part of that. Yeah. Hope we don't go backwards, but want to keep just moving forward, So, but, it's been rough.
Yeah.
These past couple of years.
Yeah.
It has totally been rough. And connecting with people that, just meeting new people and just seeing the different, I don't know if you want to say personalities of people like that, came out of this situation.
Sure.
Like people just struggling to communicate.
Yeah.
People struggling to, did I say connect?
Yeah.
Yeah, connect. Mm-hmm. Just totally struggling. And sometimes I just want to say to people, it's okay. Get yourself out there more and, just be social.
Well, and again, I think in order to understand that, you have to understand what their motivator is. And it's fear. Fear was motivating our last 2 years, and, what does the Bible say? The enemy comes to kill, rob, and destroy, right?
Yes.
And that's what he did in the last 2 years. He killed hope. He destroyed the future plans for people, he deposited fear,
yes.
And so, people that are struggling to connect, they're learning how to not let fear control them anymore. And that's really hard. And I think that comes by us sharing our stories and, giving hope to them, because that's what we're doing when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and transparent.
Yes.
We share who we are. We're depositing hope into people's lives and their hearts. And that's why this is so important, and just what you're doing, with your podcast and reaching, other people. It's good. It's depositing hope.
I hope. I do. I hope that it helps to inspire other people and to let them know that, they're not alone.
Right.
Because I feel like for so long, people were alone. They felt alone. And secluded. And so, like you said, just that fear came right in.
Yep.
It really did. It came right in. And that was the one thing I was like, and visually seeing it, that was super hard. Because you would try to talk to people, but people just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And it was like,
or
judgment. I felt a lot of judgment towards me. I felt a lot of people judging me because I just didn't want to go to that place of fear.
Right. Well, when our opinions are different than someone else's opinions, I think that's when you get that pushback. And that's a lot of times that pushback is motivated by fear, gone are the days of, hey, can't we just agree to disagree and still be friends? I felt like we were forced to be on one side or the other, with no compassion, no empathy, no understanding for someone else's viewpoint.
Yeah. And that was tough.
Yeah.
That was very tough.
Right. And again, that's where the enemy came in to rob. He robbed friendships. He robbed family relationships. I watched friends of mine whose family was divided on the issue. And, I watched families be ripped apart, and, we're in this season of rebuilding and, rebuilding connection and rebuilding hope and rebuilding relationships,
I believe that. Yeah. And finding balance.
Yeah.
And finding that balance and those fine lines that, we had to cross. I mean, we've all had to cross.
Sure.
Some serious fine lines, and division.
Yeah.
Division was one of them. And it was like, there was many times where I've had to just not say much. And that's difficult because there was times where I felt like I was saying, you gotta talk about this. You gotta, and it was just like, I was like, how do I talk about this?
Yeah.
I nobody wants to hear it. Nobody cares, and I went through that for quite a while, but coming out of it and I'm just like, I know it's got to get better. Everything's got to get better at one point, I don't know. I just feel like with this podcast and just trying to reach out to people that, need somebody to talk to, need an outlet, need, or even just getting that inspiration just from talking, just from everything you said. There's so many subjects that we just touched on that were I don't know. I can't wait to go back and listen to this because
Yeah.
truly, we touched on a lot of stuff. And, you know, like, and the one thing I want to say, like, the compassion part of it. Like, right now I'm going through a situation with my grandmother, and, you know, the one thing I'm seeing, especially like in the healthcare industry, considering with COVID and everything, and I just want to touch on this for a minute, because I think that, like, obviously everybody has had to deal with so much with COVID, the nurses, the doctors, especially the whole healthcare field, you know, and I give them so much credit on having to do what they did. And I, you know, my heart goes out to them and the families, and then people who got laid off, and people who couldn't, you know, didn't want to, you know, be in those situations. And and I, like, now that I'm dealing with my grandmother and being in the hospital, it'll be 12 weeks.
Wow.
And I'm observing a lot of different things right now. Like, I feel like it's been a learning thing as well as a very emotional thing, but it's been a learning experience, seeing how the nurses carry compassion and empathy in a situation where they weren't connecting with families for so long. For 2 years, it was like nobody was allowed to be in the hospitals.
Wow.
You know, people were having babies without their spouses there, and like, people were dying. You know, I don't like to bring that into this whole conversation, but as far as, you know, the connection goes, this is with the whole connection part. You know, we're dealing with that right now with, like, the nurses just, you know, put yourself in their situation and put yourselves in the patient's situation. And then you have family in there now that are there, you know, trying to, you know, be the voice, you know, be the advocate, you know, the advocate for their family, where we couldn't do that 2 years ago.
Wow.
And so I'm really seeing the struggle that I believe that the nurses and doctors are having, you know, and it really does come down to, like, compassion and empathy, you know, and it's hard. It's hard not only for the patient, but it's also hard for the family. And just the connection, like, you know, experiencing the other day, like, just going to a nurse's desk and, you know, seeing people, like, 7 or 8 people standing there and not even really even look at me, like, as if I wasn't a person, like, as if they couldn't connect with me. And it was an interesting but learning experience to see it. And so, like, I pray for those people that, you know, are going through that part of it. It's almost like very closed off.
Yeah. Sure.
So, like, that just is coming out of what we just went through. It's a huge darkness, I feel like we went through.
Absolutely.
Like, huge. And I feel like we're all trying to come out of it.
Yeah.
Even just in business and in, you know, like you said, families reconnecting.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be reconnecting with just people in general. Yeah. And I feel like so much right now, and then here we go, we're talking about the social media. Everybody has totally connected with social media, and there's so much more involved with social media than actually connecting with people.
Sure.
And people, like, genuinely connecting.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important for people to, like, take the time and connect with the people around them.
Yeah.
And, you know, share different experiences and stories, because I think through COVID, we all have a lot of similar stories.
Yeah.
And business owners share a lot of similar, you know, experiences.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people closed, a lot of people, you know, struggled and are still struggling, but trying to get through it. And some people are just really just going through the motions. And I truly believe that, without having faith, I don't know where I would be right now. Because there are all these different things going on. Yeah. Just in the last, you know, 2 years, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I have to believe in God. I have to believe that there's a God that knows my future and that knows what's coming. Because if I don't believe in God, then all I have is myself to rely on. And that is not a good scene. That's, you know, like, if all all I had was myself to rely on, Lord, help me. You know? So
Lord have
yeah,
mercy.
I need to be able to cast my burdens on him. I need to be able to put my future in his hands. I need to be able to know that he has a plan to prosper me and not to harm me, you know, because then it takes the pressure off of myself, you know?
Right. I pray that, and I do, I pray that people can find that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like I pray that people can find that connection with him. And I think we were saying before we started the podcast, I was saying how you really don't know what God can just put onto us, can give us, we really don't know it until we just give it to him.
Yeah.
And then when we give it to him, it might not come in the way we think we should receive it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the times it really doesn't. We think, okay, God's going to show us and we're, we in finances or things like that, but it may not come in that way. It may come in a different direction, to teach us a little something and, to humble ourselves through a situation to understand. And then you're like, wow. And then that connection is there.
Yeah.
And it's just finding that. And I think we need to have that in order to, or give it to him. We need to give it to him in order to know what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more than just having a knowledge of that there is a God. Like, even the devil believes there's a God, he does. He believes that there's a God, so it's not just enough to have that knowledge and to know there is a God. It's having a relationship. And that's what you were saying, like giving it to him. And we were saying again before the podcast began that it's an exchange. Having a relationship with Christ is an exchange. It means I get to take all of my burden and lay it at his feet. And when I do that, he gives us something in return.
Right.
I take my fear and he gives me hope. I take my doubt and he gives me peace. Everything that we have that this world attaches to us that's negative, we get to give that to him. And in turn, he gives us something else,
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's so important to have a relationship with him, because otherwise we're just robots walking through this world without hope and, without a destiny, without hope. I mean, hope is so important.
Hope is important in faith. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we had all these conversations. I'm like, we really touched on a lot, and I'm very happy, and I'm very thankful that you were able to come on here.
Yeah, thanks
today.
for having me.
And I do want to leave this with, I'm going to have you pick from these cards.
Oh, all right.
And then we can just
let's do it.
Take one more minute and just we can talk about this for one more minute. Okay, you go ahead and
anywhere,
anyone you want.
All right.
So we have this thing of cards here, and it just it's a box of verses, and there's so many wonderful verses in here.
It's a long one.
It's a long one. So
this is good.
Okay, good.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. So this is from Deuteronomy 31:6. And it says, be strong and courageous.
Woo!
Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. I love that.
All right, so let me just tell you guys. So this box here is full. I'll have to take a picture and just tag it in there or something. It's full of it, and Jess pulled out this amazing piece of scripture, and it kind of just goes with everything we just talked about.
Yeah, because in order to be strong and courageous, that takes faith.
Yeah.
It takes faith to be strong and courageous. But in that, right? So it says, be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Because God goes with us wherever we are. He'll never leave us, never forsake us. That's a promise.
That's a huge
that's a promise. But the promise always comes with an action. I always see that in the Bible, right? It always comes with an action on our part. So the action is be strong and courageous. And when we're strong and courageous, he promises he goes with us wherever we go. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's good.
I love it. I'm so excited. So we will be using these verses in all the podcasts. I'm super excited, and I think it's important, and hopefully, I pray that everyone will who maybe has not yet, or maybe in the future or maybe now you find that, that amazing relationship with the Lord and you will see how amazing he is. And obviously to be able to connect here with Jess on this podcast for the first time, having a special guest, just amazing. And I'm very grateful. I'm humbled. I'm grateful. I'm very thankful, and I cannot wait to listen to it.
Thanks for having me.
It's always fun. And you're going to go amazing places. I cannot wait to I can't wait to see this journey that you're going on. I'm just so excited because you're getting ready to go to Florida, aren't you?
Yeah. So talk about faith. Yeah, we're picking up our whole business and moving it to Florida. We're now strictly an online vegan and gluten-free bakery, CakeThatSandwichCo.com, and people can order from our website and they order on Amazon. And so we are just moving our bakery to Florida. And
so please check out her amazing. They're like, to me, they're like it's like what is a sandwich? It is a sandwich. It is amazing.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest you guys go check them out.
Sandwich.
It's a dessert sandwich. There you go. And they're amazing. And the fact that they are not only amazing, they are pretty good for you too.
Gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, egg-free.
What I need, gluten-free and dairy-free. I need to go back on that diet. Oh my gosh. Not diet, but that whole lifestyle, because it changes. It makes a whole world of a difference.
It does.
Being gluten-free and dairy-free.
Gluten
really
and dairy breeds inflammation in our bodies. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So
especially when we're in our 40s, we feel that a little more.
Yes. I don't
but that's another topic.
That is another topic. So, Jess, just share where they can get your amazing sandwiches.
Yeah. So our website is CakeThatSandwichCo.com. You can also go on Amazon and search Cake That Sandwich Co. And we'll pop right up.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys for just taking time to listen to us.
Yeah.
And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you, Jess.
Be blessed.
All right, be blessed, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.